Hello, glorious beauties. So, a few years back, I read this book by Nicholas Nassim Taleb called Antifragile. So, the word antifragile is an interesting word that he himself coined. So, what does it mean? So, Nicholas Nassim Taleb was looking for a word that was the opposite of fragile. And what he could find in like the thesaurus or the dictionary was the word robust. Unfortunately, the word robust only means that it doesn't damage easy when confronted with a stressor, whereas something fragile damages extremely easily when confronted with a stressor. So the opposite of fragile wouldn't necessarily be robust. We're looking for something that gains from a stressor, something that is anti-fragile. So the thing that is anti-fragile, and nothing is completely anti-fragile. Most things are anti-fragile to a point, and then they will find their fragile point anyways. But at least we're looking for things or to be something which is anti-fragile at least to a point. So in our society, we're extremely fragile. We're extremely fragile because we have a lot of expenses and we depend on a boss and or patron to take care of us. I learned early on to keep my life extremely simple so that I could be anti-fragile and have enough money to escape the matrix, at least for a little bit if needed. So I was in two instances in the past few years especially, where I felt like my bosses kind of had it with me for whatever reason, and they wanted to get rid of me. And I think they assumed that I was very, very fragile, so they wanted to get rid of me in such a way like, this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. But meanwhile, in that time, I was saving almost everything that I could possibly save and making sure that I had enough money not to work for a while. Currently, as simple as I keep my life, I had enough money not to work for at least the next 7 to 10 years. So that's what being anti-fragile is. Being anti-fragile is putting yourself in a situation where you don't have to deal with people's bullshit if you don't want to deal with it. So if you're fragile right now, which takes a long time to be even remotely anti-fragile, I encourage you to take notice of your life and reduce and diminish all the things that are making you fragile. It could be your overly expensive car, it could be your need to go on vacation 2 or 3 times a year, it could be your over expensive purses that you like to buy, over expensive whatever. Make yourself anti-fragile. Make sure that your life is mega simple and that you have enough money and enough resources not to go to work for a while. I'm hearing that at least 1/3 of Americans currently can't afford $400 for an emergency. If you want to be anti-fragile, you got to put yourself in a position to afford much more than $400. You might need years and years where you don't need your employer. This is really hard to get to, especially if you have a family. The goal is to try. Minimize where you can. Get rid of all the stuff that you don't need. And always put yourself in perspective when you're working. Your boss thinks you're fragile in a lot of cases, and that's why they overwork you and underpay you. You have to get to the point where you are anti-fragile, at least to a point, and you don't need your boss or any other boss. This is what I give you for today. Namaste.